Good evening, book lovers. Welcome to another episode of Cath-Lit Live. I'm your host, Amy Cattapan, pen name AJ Cattapan. Tonight, I'm bringing you something different. I haven't brought you this genre yet. I'm bringing you a sweet romance tonight by author Maddie Evans. So I'm pretty excited to have my first romance author on here. Yes, Catholic authors can be romance writers, in case you're wondering. So let me tell you just a little bit about Maddie Evans, and I'll bring her on. Maddie Evans has lived in 3 New England states for over 2 decades. When she's not spending time with her family, she's running, one of my favorite things to do too, or doing things with yarn. Please welcome to the show, Maddie Evans.
Hey there.
Hi, how are you, Maddie Evans?
Okay, thank you. My Bluetooth connection just went out, so we're flying without the without the microphone right now. Can you hear me?
You know, I can hear you just fine. It's all good. There's nothing like doing a live show because you never know what's going to happen. It keeps everybody on their toes. Is what I like to
just take the headphones off since I can't hear out of them anyway. So hi there.
Hi. So my first romance author, and the name of your book is, and let's see if I say it right. We were practicing before the show, everyone, and I kept putting the stress on the wrong syllable. It's Heart of the Violist.
Yes.
Yes, I did it. Heart of the Violist.
Yes.
Like viola, like the instrument.
Right.
Okay. Tell us about Heart of the Violist.
Okay. So the Heart of the Violist is the first book in the Castleton String Quartet trilogy, and it's taking place in a small town in northern Maine. So these books, and also Faking the Harmony, which I released in November, they center around the Castleton Music School. So everyone in the stories, most of them at least, is a musician, and most of them are directly involved with the Castleton family. So the string quartet is in flux because the founder of the school and the founder of the quartet has just been diagnosed with a terminal illness. So that's your background, okay? His daughter Lindsay took over the quartet as the first violinist. A former quartet came back from California to his previous seat as second violinist, and he hates it because he thinks he should be the first violinist. The cellist used to be their sub, and her family is a complete mess of its own. And the violist, who's your main character here, is Ashlyn Merritt, and she is like practically Lindsay Castleton's sister. So they're all entangled with each other already, and everything is falling apart because their mentor or their father is dying. Okay, now let's cut to Michael Knollwood. Michael is searching for the parents who released him for adoption at birth, and he gets his DNA results from this place called DNA Amazing. And they said that he has a full sister, and it's Lindsay Castleton. So Michael races out there to see her perform, and he thinks she looks a lot like him, but boy, is she playing alongside a violist who's like the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. But there's a problem, is that he can't be their full sister because Robert and Susan weren't even on the same continent when Michael was born. So what's going on? Is he a scammer? Is this a mix-up, right? Except Ashlyn really likes Michael, so she's hoping he's the real deal. So that's the crux of the story, is that Michael says he's a Castleton, but he wasn't raised there. Ashlyn is not a Castleton, but she was. So they each have each other's missing piece, but like if they want to actually build a relationship and go the distance, then they need to like go beyond that. So, beyond where they came from and be able to move forward.
All right, so I'm hearing a lot about family dynamics in your storylines. Is that a large role in your romances? Why do you make that an important part?
Well, because my parents divorced when I was little. So I grew up on this steady diet of like relationship books and therapy, and then step family therapy, and on and on. My mom and stepdad were actually running our parish's pre-Cana counseling program for couples that were going to get married. So we got Marriage Magazine and we got CCL Family Foundations, and I was just, bombarded with all these ideas about how your family of origin, affects your understanding of how a romantic relationship ought to work. So I was that weird gal in the front row of Engaged Encounter who was like, yeah, bring it on. So I bring your family into these stories because that's reality. Like if your marriage is going to last a lifetime, then every single weak point is going to come into friction at some point or another. And I like romance novels to have real issues, like not just, we could solve this with a text, but, really real issues. And couples in real life need to work hard to smooth out those issues. So I figure let's roll up our sleeves and get to the real questions. one of my lit professors told me that all fiction deals with love, sex, God, and death. And since these books are squeaky clean, that leaves only 3. So that's what we work with.
All right, so let's go back to the God thing, because I know you're a Catholic author, but this isn't necessarily a Catholic book. You do write some Catholic books, but this is more of a secular one. So how does that jive? How does your Catholic faith, or does it show up at all in your secular stories?
I feel like my Catholic worldview is in the backbone of everything, right? Like if you scratch deep enough, you're going to find Catholic values in all of this. The characters in this series are not Catholic, but there's always that understanding about how they interact with the world. Like it's just like a particularly Catholic. Like we tend to bring not just be like ephemeral or. We do a lot of both and as Catholics. It's not just physical, not just spiritual. We mix everything, so like our sacraments, there's the matter and there's the form. We're grounded in bodies, but we have our spiritual needs. Attraction is physical, but it's also emotional, and it points towards eternity. So in this series, the Catholic worldview shows up most strongly in Robert and Susan Castleton's marriage. So he was faithful to her when they were young, and now he's dying and she's faithful to him. They're like in the teeth of the 4 worse and the in sickness part of marriage. And this marriage is on the brink of being dissolved by death, but they're still faithful and they're still holding to these vows. They've used their love to create a community. They've welcomed children. They've welcomed other people's children. They took something that could have been just for themselves, and they used that as a light for everyone. So the Susan and Robert relationship actually runs right through the trilogy. It's like it is the backbone of all the other relationships in every single one of the books. And so although these are not Catholic characters, I really feel like they're embodying the Catholic understanding of marriage, which of course is the reason that romance exists.
There we go. Now, why musicians? Why make a story with musicians? Is that part of your world?
That's actually a good question. I wrote a different series about a running club the same year that I was about to train to run a marathon. But to be honest, I'm not sure which of those inspired the other, right? So with the musicians, I was surrounded by music just as much as I was surrounded by relationship advice as I was growing up. But everyone around me, it felt like, was a musician, but no one whose genes ended up in me. Like they were all like other people's genes. They had, so like my stepmother, my stepfather, and my stepbrother, and everywhere I went, somebody was playing something. It was a Spanish guitar that was down the hall, or I would open my bedroom door and hear someone practicing violin, or I'd hear a medley of the Moody Blues on a Celtic harp, and so then I go to college and I roomed with 3 members of marching band.
Oh.
And I met my husband in the church choir. So
you are a bit of a musician yourself. You're a singer more than
I can't actually sing. The only reason I was in church choir is that they really told me they needed a live body. Okay. They said that we don't have enough people up there, and the more people there are, the more people will sing in the congregation. And I'm like, okay, so I just showed up, and but it was fun because the choir itself formed a community, and that was pretty awesome. But I love the way musicians think. I love the way that they frame the world, and the way they can just rant about composers, the way that, you'll hear people ranting about the Red Sox or the Patriots or something. So it feels like music is an entirely different means of self-expression. And I just like climbing into people's heads to explore that.
Good. Well, what if people want to climb into your books and learn a little more about you? Where can they find out more about you in your books?
Let's see. So there's MaddieEvans.com is my website. Let's see. You can go over at Amazon though, and just type Maddie Evans in, and you can find that. So Heart of the Violist was just released about a week ago, and this book it's not really a prequel, but it's in the same genre. It's the same world. Faking the Harmony is it's a romance between a jazz pianist and a keyboardist for an alternative band, and right now it's free on Amazon, so you can pick up the Kindle for 0.00 and read it, and it's short and it's fun, and they just have a good time.
Great. All right. Well, I hope a lot of people go and check out your free book.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Maddie. All right, everyone, wave goodbye to Maddie. I'm going to send her on her way and just say a few words here at the end here, guys, just to remind you, please, please, please support these authors. I mean, here's a chance for a free book. Go check it out on Amazon. Download it. If you like it, you can go check out the rest of Maddie Evans' books. You can also support all these Catholic authors that I interview by liking this post on YouTube or on Instagram, wherever you end up seeing it, commenting on it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe so you can get notifications about the rest of the interviews that I do with Catholic authors. So until next time, thanks again for joining me on another episode of Cath-Lit Live, and I will see you later. Happy reading, everybody.